evening. You're tuned into the Business Roundup, a show that turns complex business ideas into actionable insights. From startup hacks to corporate turnarounds, we bring you real stories, real numbers, and real takeaways. Welcome aboard. I'm your host, Maureen Babidie. Here are the highlights. The Bank of Uganda enters into agreements with 2 local gold refineries as it ventures into the gold business. The Chief Justice, Flavian Nzeija, backs alternative dispute resolution as a means to unlock over 7 trillion Uganda shillings tied up in commercial court cases. The Nalubale hydropower station is set for rehabilitation in a project worth 170 million euros. And in our feature segment, we bring you the second and final part of developments in the regional railway sector. Let's dive into it. The Chief Justice, Flavian Nzeija, has urged the judiciary to embrace alternative dispute resolution mechanisms as a means of unlocking trillions of shillings tied up in commercial court disputes. Justice Nzeija noted that ADR approaches, including mediation, negotiation, and arbitration, provide efficient ways to resolve complex cases without the high costs associated with prolonged litigation. We have a report.
Alternative dispute resolution is not a lesser form of justice, but rather a sophisticated complement that prioritizes speed, technical expertise, and confidentiality, key elements in the commercial and financial sectors. This is according to the Governor of the Bank of Uganda, Michael Atingi Ego.
Every delayed judgment is effectively a tax on the investment and a brake on the transmission of monetary policy itself. So ADR is not a lesser substitute for justice. We see it as a sophisticated complement that recognizes speed, technical expertise, and confidentiality, which are necessities in the commercial world. In the financial sector, disputes are highly technical and time sensitive. ADR mechanisms, mediation, negotiation, and arbitration offer a way to resolve these complexities without adversarial depletion of funds. That's why ADR is not merely a justice sector matter. To us, it is a macroeconomic imperative that is required to achieve our Vision 2040 and the ambitious tenfold growth agenda.
With over 7 trillion shillings reportedly locked up in commercial disputes, according to the Uganda Bankers Association, stakeholders say adopting faster and more efficient dispute resolution mechanisms is long overdue.
Currently, it is reported that about 623 unresolved banking cases are locking up an estimated Uganda shillings 7 trillion, according to the Uganda Bankers Association, in disputed value. For the economy, this is dead capital.
This engagement will allow us to reflect on the issues that sit at the intersection of law, finance, and the broader economy. Commercial disputes, particularly those involving financial institutions, are becoming increasingly complex and multiple. When these disputes are not resolved, and they are not resolved promptly, they affect business continuity, livelihoods, and the broader financial sector. The question, therefore, is not whether we should respond, but how we should respond. The Judicial Training Institute is mandated to provide continuous skilling for judicial officers. This answers the question, how should we respond to the challenge of case disposal in commercial disputes?
While officiating at the opening of a 2-day Judicial Officers Colloquium at Serena Chigo, the Chief Justice Flavian Nzeija emphasized the importance of integrating ADR into the formal court process, not merely as an alternative, but as a core component of case disposal.
I restate here that judges do not resolve cases, they decide them. And many times when we decide cases, the decisions do not necessarily bring the disputes to an end. The witness the litigant appears. When a dispute is commercial in nature, the stakes are even much higher, and appeals can be multiple, sometimes dragging on for years. Prolonged litigation of commercial cases has far-reaching consequences for the financial system and the broader commercial environment. Let me address my lords. Many of the people who come to court after defaulting on loans do not come because they have good cases. This is what experience has shown me when I was a trial judge. They come to buy time. In most cases. Okay, sometimes, yes, banks also make mistakes here and there, but in most cases, they come to buy time. In fact, there is a law firm in a town which is notorious for that. So if you want to default, you just go to them and say, I want to default, how do you help me? Then it is notorious, it's known. I think I even mentioned it when we had the Gumzo conference. So the law firm starts fighting those cases with unnecessary applications, application after application, so that you don't resolve the case. So now, if that is the case, if they come to court because they want to buy time, how can you then engage the bank and the defaulter to see whether they can extend for them maybe time within which to pay?
Justice Zeija expressed optimism that the colloquium will yield practical outcomes to support the financial sector and the broader economy. His sentiments were echoed by players in the banking sector.
And as a sector, we agreed and aligned in this particular scale and shape. We believe done neatly, we should be able to forge forward, but also then in terms of the going forward, as a sector, we also further acknowledge that we need to see how we support mediators. Can we have good arbiters? Can we have good mediators coming, being supported? Can we support the training? Can we see volunteers, men and women of character that are conflict intelligent coming forward to support this whole mediation activities?
The Judicial Officers Colloquium 2026 is being held under the theme From Litigation to Resolution, Unlocking Commercial Disputes Through Alternative Dispute Resolution.
Tonight we air the second part of the latest developments in East Africa's railway sector, which are sending a strong signal of renewed regional integration, strategic partnership and shared economic ambition. Have a look.
Congestion at border points and delays at seaports.
Concessionaire's target was a joint Kenya-Uganda railways. He negated the central corridor. He negated the southern corridor. Coupled with that, it means he never invested in infrastructure in Port Bell linking up with Mwanza. So one of the challenges we are facing is actually poor assets and lack of assets, and we are looking at how can we be able to improve on the assets. And as the government of Uganda, I have put up a proposal to the Minister of Works and Transport through to the Minister of Finance for a requirement of about 650 billion to make sure that we have medium, short-term and long-term investments to make sure that we are able to improve on this cargo movement.
Tanzania is building the SGR from Dar es Salaam to carry cargo to Mwanza. And mainly it will serve the Ugandan business communities. So it will be easy now if we have a modern port, if we have Jinja Port as a modern port, which can be able to receive such vessels, and it will contribute to carry out cargo from Dar es Salaam port to here, and you put on the lake, then you go to Port Belt. So we are planning to modernize that port, and we are working together with the Ugandan government. It is hope of the Central Corridor that in the near future we'll have the Port Belt very well rehabilitated.
Over-reliance on road transport has significantly driven up the cost of doing business, undermining regional competitiveness.
When you look at the volume of cargo that is coming to the population, which is within the East African community, at least now I think if you look at the population, it's coming to around 150 to 150 million to 200 million people. That market is huge. in Southern Sudan, Rwanda, Burundi, DRC, Tanzania. When you bring us together, and that is why we are talking of this tripartite agreement, the number of volume of cargo has grown. Now, why then railways? And why then the roads? Traditionally, more cargo has been going by the roads. And as we construct SGR and also rehabilitate our MGR to meet and gauge rail, we are looking forward now to bringing back most of the cargo back to rail.
So we must make it happen, isn't it? Because already the instruments are there, the equipments are there, the network is functional, it's working. You know, from next end of this month, we are going to start using the standard gauge railway from inside the port up to Bahi in Dodoma. That is after Dodoma. So within hours, you'll be able to move from the Dar es Salaam port up to somewhere after Dodoma. From there, you can transship to MGR, to Port Bell. Sindio? No, not Mwanza, because they have a wagon ferry. Make it happen, inafanya kazi.
With the SGR projects taking shape across multiple corridors, the vision is becoming clearer. A fully integrated regional transport network capable of facilitating faster, cheaper, and more efficient movement of goods and people.
When you see the trucks which are on our roads and the number of accidents, if we can move them to the rail, that would be better. But also to give the transporters affordable transport means. The road transport is very expensive.
Beyond infrastructure, these rail projects represent a broader ambition to unlock trade, deepen regional integration, and accelerate economic growth across East Africa.
In more news, a French delegation has conducted a pre-investment inspection of the Nalubale-Kira hydropower rehabilitation project. The venture capital investment project will cost 170 million euros, funded by the French Development Agency and the European Investment Bank.
The rehabilitation of the Nalubale-Kira hydropower complex is expected to safeguard Uganda's electricity generation capacity while improving resilience to climate-related challenges like rising water levels.
We are going to work on the turbines themselves and the generators. Whatever is wrong with them is going to be rectified. In Nalubale specifically, we have a lot of old systems in the machines, different parts that need to be machined, renewed. So to reset the machines to their basic, to their design level, that's what refurbishments do. So that's the target.
Preparations are underway as international partners assess investment commitments.
Right now, the feasibility studies are nearly completed. There is a consultant finalizing the environmental and social impact assessments.
In the powers of Nalubale, we know that we have cracks due to the cement reacting with aggregates, which we call the alkali-silicate reaction. It's something that began when the plant was commissioned in the 50s and has progressed, but the rate of progression is very low. And so we are able to work on that. So we are going to reinforce the structure.
The project will modernize electromechanical systems, strengthen dam safety infrastructure, and expand water speeding capacity to manage extreme hydrological conditions.
It is that this is a multiple turbine. It was conceived in a multiple turbine. There are 10 units on Nalubale, 5 more on Chira, meaning while doing the work, the dam and the capacity of production should not be shut down.
A fund of 170 million euros will include 73 million euros alone from French Development Agency, a grant of 2 million euros from French Development Agency, 65 million euros a loan from European Investment Bank, 30 million euros a grant from European Investment Bank.
Part is a grant for financing, to meeting some of the financing things, supervision, which we are talking about the owner's engineer. But the actual works, we are looking at 134 million euros on ground in this first phase.
We expect the EIB to approve the additional financing by the end of the year for the Ministry of Finance to be able to commit after the Parliament approval for this double loan and to sign the agreement by the end of the year.
The partnership reflects shared priorities in promoting sustainable growth, energy access and climate action. For UBC.
The central bank has commenced the purchasing and refining of locally sourced gold from various regions across the country. According to the governor of the Bank of Uganda, 2 indigenous refineries, Eurogold Refinery and Feldstein Trading Limited, have been contracted to refine and purify Uganda's gold to international monetary standards.
Following the signing of the gold refining and purification agreements with Eurogold Refinery and Feldstein Trading Limited, the central bank says all systems are now in place to operationalize the initiative.
So they will be the ones that will be refining the gold that will be buying, because also we've signed contracts with gold suppliers. So the gold suppliers will be taking the gold to these refineries where the Bank of Uganda will be meeting them to buy. And why are we going to refineries? We are going to refineries to facilitate the testing, the purity of the gold that we are buying, because we want to ensure that the gold we are buying is first of all mined here locally.
Technical teams from the Bank of Uganda have since inspected the licensed facilities to assess the operational capacity and compliance with the required standards. But why is the central bank engaging directly with the local refineries?
The miners are selling to Bank of Uganda will be tested in these refineries because they have the equipment for now. So they will test to ensure the purity level. And then after we've done that, we will then take this gold to the Bank of Uganda vaults for some time until we realize a certain quantum.
Eurogold Refinery Executive Director Bernard Fenny has welcomed the partnership with government, describing it as both timely and transformative for Uganda's mineral sector.
Of course, this one means a lot to us. One, it means, of course, the relationship itself being strengthened with Central Bank, with Uganda, actually, Ugandan government, which is a very good thing, particularly for an indigenous refinery, a Ugandan-owned refinery. It's actually a very good signal to out there that we're in the right course. As you know, this was an open bid for an indigenous company like Eurogold Refinery, a Ugandan-owned company, to win this contract. It's a very good milestone for us.
He notes that the absence of internationally certified refineries in the country has long fueled unregulated trade and black market activities.
So what the illegal traders had to do was just to sell their products raw, and there was no another option. Looking at the condition by the government, where that no gold leaves the country without being refined. There were no refineries that were welcoming illegal traders, or let's say people, or anyone outside there. But all I can say is now there's an open, legit, and available refinery.
Under the domestic gold purchase program, the Bank of Uganda plans to acquire significant volumes of gold annually. Dennis Igor and Juma Samba for UBC.
In a new development, Ugandan youth venturing into micro and small enterprises are in need of deliberate government support to enable their businesses thrive. Agribusiness supporting entities believe the sector holds immense potential for exponential growth if young people are prioritized and treated fairly. We have a report.
Over the years, the Consortium for Enhancing University Responsiveness to Agribusiness (CURAD) has supported young people with ideas that revolve around value addition, processing and trade, helping to nurture viable agribusiness ventures.
They innovate, they think. The problem has been, how do you harness that energy, those ideas, and make sure they turn into a profitable business? And that's the job of agribusiness incubation, and that's what Churedi does. These young people think of all sorts of crazy things they can do with our agro products. Looking at those ideas and see those that can make sense, that can make business sense, to say the least, that can be turned into something tangible, that it can be turned into something that can trade. That's what we harness at Churedi.
Segawa notes that the uptake of youth in agribusiness has steadily grown, signaling increasing interest in the sector.
Why? Uganda remains an agroeconomy. Universities and institutions are churning out over 800,000 young people every year. Naturally, with 70% of Uganda being agro, the opportunities have expressed themselves in agriculture and agribusiness.
However, the reality often proves harsh, as many encounter structural and operational challenges that expose their vulnerabilities. At a recent youth agribusiness event in Jinja, the executive director of the National Planning Authority, Joseph Muvala, strongly criticized government entities that frustrate youth engaged in micro and small enterprises.
The quality of the leader determines the quality of the institution. If you think that your work is to close companies and you are the leader, that institution is in trouble. UNBS first facilitate. You are not there to close businesses, because every time you close a business, we lose a job.
He added that Uganda has regressed, becoming an economy of symptoms, calling for urgent attention and policy recalibration to address the underlying issues affecting youth enterprises.
We are an economy of symptoms. Early pregnancy. Then we run with early pregnancy. Why are kids getting pregnant early? It's because of a failed family. What is failing the family? Livelihood. 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 Incomes to the youth, incomes to everybody is going to solve the symptoms that we deal with every day.
Bwindi Impenetrable National Park is a niche tourism destination for Uganda. The home of the endangered mountain gorillas is a must visit for the local and international visitors. Check out the apes and the vegetation of Bwindi in our Sons of Business.
Budget for next financial year we submitted to Parliament. We are making a proposal of 84.3 trillion shillings. Domestic revenue is 44.08 trillion shillings. We also hope to draw petroleum funds worth 1.44 trillion shillings. We hope to collect local government revenue, those local governments, of 341 billion shillings. We hope to borrow domestically some 11.97 trillion shillings, but also to mobilize external financing for the projects 11.27 billion, rather trillion shillings, and then for the budget financing 1.13 trillion. We hope also to roll over, which we call a domestic refinancing, 13.97 trillion. So those are the numbers that we submitted. Those are the numbers you should take.
As Kenya, Uganda's key fuel supply route, grapples with shortages triggered by supply disruptions linked to tensions in the Middle East, the ripple effects could soon be felt locally. And as the saying goes, when Kenya sneezes, Uganda is likely to catch a cold. Motorists and businesses are therefore urged to stay alert to regional fuel trends, despite the ceasefire in the Gulf offering some relief. Thank you for watching. Look in for the next episode. Same place, smarter business. I'm Maureen Babidie. Good night.